finding what really matters. Second inning for Matthew Liberatore and a strike. Cardinals leading 4-2. Baseball is back, and we are thankful that it is. There's a foul ball. Stadium's at 100% capacity. Remember this time last year we were seeing a maybe a half full Roger Dean Stadium, and then opening day was limited. It was like 15 or 20% capacity. On the ground, Sosa charging and got him.
Wow, that was close. Well, it's nice that the first game of the spring happened to fall during a little bit of spring break, so
yep,
extra crowd there for the first game of the year. I believe that this young man was running a little bit better down the line than Sosa imagined.
Jimmy clearly out. No problems there.
Clearly.
No replay in spring training baseball.
You.
And the 1-0 by Liberatore. 1 ball and 1 strike. So opening day, again, if you're just joining us, already over 40,000 tickets sold, but tickets as low as $30 to head to one of the great traditions in St. Louis, and that's opening day. We're expecting every Hall of Famer to be in attendance as well. Cardinal Hall of Famer or MLB Hall of Famer. There's a strikeout for Liberatore, his second. Speaking of the Hall of Fame ballot is out right now, presented by Edward Jones through April 15th, and you can cast your vote. Deserving player from another great field of candidates. Cardinals.com/HOF added this year. One Matt Holliday.
You can throw them all on there. It's a pretty good group right there.
There you go.
Hall of Famers will be back on the field as well. You'll be in your red jacket. And then are you
double duty
racing up to the booth?
Oh, yes. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Love opening day in St. Louis. It's the best. There they are, the candidates. Steve Carlton, George Hendricks, Silent George on there, Matt Holliday, Matt Morris, Edgar Renteria. Lee Smith off the ballot, but that's not to say he can't come back on the ballot, which he will in future years.
That shortstop was one of my favorite players right there, Edgar Renteria. So talented, so underrated. Such a great teammate and a gamer.
The 2-1 pitch. And it's now 2-2. You have any idea what he's doing now?
I haven't talked to him in a long time. I've tried. Changed his phone number. I heard he's been back in Colombia helping out people.
That's what I heard as well.
And I don't know if he sold his place in Florida or not.
That's Ali Sanchez hopping on that baseball, and initially looked to be a foul ball. Instead, they said play ball. And that's what we're doing today. Telecast, written consent of this.
You're winning the players.
Right.
He was always a high sock guy. He always wore his pants like that when he played.
I like that look.
You know, when I first got here was when everyone was wearing just regular socks because it was more comfortable instead of the stirrups. And they didn't have the 2-in-1s. Basically, you either had to wear socks and you had to wear long pants, or you had to wear the stirrups that they provided. Well, a couple guys got a little carried away and went high sock Sunday with just their red socks, and immediately drew a little attention from the upper management, and were pull your pants down or change your socks right away. there would be to be shown the stripes or no socks at all. But I thought was kind of a little bit unusual, and then I learned really quick how much respect goes into wearing that uniform.
It's a big deal, as it should be.
Yeah. Now, those are just things that you just kind of take for granted as a player, and especially if you hadn't been in this organization for a while. And you know, that 2000 team, there was a lot of newcomers, and they were introduced to the tradition of the striped socks very quickly.
Hurst flies to center, and now Lars Nootbaar. And he pulls it foul.
There's that short swing right there, Danny.
Well, it was also when you're introduced to Cardinal baseball for the first time, at this time of year, there's Aaron Brooks throwing, and there's what you're talking about. That look by Lars Nootbaar. You were introduced to Lou Brock and Bob Gibson and Bruce Sutter, Ozzie Smith, the Hall of Famers that make their way south to Jupiter, which is always, I think, something for when new players come to the organization and they see that, it is eye-popping. To be introduced to these guys.
And I think that's the one thing that we've been missing for the last couple of years because of COVID and kind of the change of hands with the managers and a little bit of everything. But, yeah, I think that's the one thing I hear a lot of the guys talk about is when are you coming down or where's everybody hiding or what's going on? So interesting to see how that turns around here now that things are starting to get back to normal.
1-2 pitch in the dirt, and it's 2-2.
So that's a great take right there. Because he has such a short swing and he's not afraid to get a fastball inside and not get beat by it, he can take pitches like that where a guy with a little bit longer swing will try to get going a little bit earlier and will not be able to hold up on something like that where he can get to it or he can take it.
Well, you're right. He really does have a very short, compact swing.
And you know what? You have to, because that's a really good slider that he laid off. But that ball looks like, if that's a cutter a breaking ball, if that's a cutter or a slider, and you take it that long, you got no chance to get to it. And he can stay there that long and have confidence to take that pitch. There it is right there, and that's a tough pitch to lay off. That's the pitch that you're looking for as a pitcher, where the other one has more break that you can recognize. So good adjustment and tough at bat right there for
in other words, out, and so designated. In other words, for people to
missing the team the other day. It was just a week ago yesterday. The CBA.
We're not looking for distractions. We're looking for people to appreciate and embrace our culture.
New pitcher in is Aaron Brooks. That was John Mozeliak, and what Ollie had to say in addressing the team the other day. It was just a week ago yesterday, the CBA came to an agreement, and then players had to be in camp by Sunday night, Monday morning, going through the medicals, the various things, the physicals, getting updates on where they were at in the off-season for guys that were injured. Brooks is a sinker baller guy, and that's a good example there, gets the out. So then he addressed the team, and it was off and running. A few workouts, and let's go. My question to you, Jim, and you played, 2 decades of professional baseball, and I mean this as a sincere question. I've been thinking about this. Ollie is 35 years old. And the respect that a guy like Tony La Russa had when you walk in, and it's probably not a good example, but I think you're going to understand where I'm going here. Tony immediately had respect because of his resume. He's kind of a larger-than-life personality, had won, and guys knew he knew what he was doing. And with Ollie being 35 and it's your first managerial job, how do you get the respect of even players that are older than you, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina? You know what I mean? It's kind of the fine line that you walk.
Well, I think the good thing is when you get a guy like Ollie, he's been around for a little bit, and he knows a lot of these guys. And you know what I like about Ollie? He's pretty down to earth and he's pretty good at communication. He's very sincere. He knows the game. He picks his spots. He's not a yeller. He's not an excitable guy. but he's the kind of guy that will tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, you can't do that. And he's not going to hold back. And I just think that, you know, obviously out of 40 guys out there, there's going to be a guy or two that might not like him, and probably because they don't get to play. But from what I notice, and even from my dealings with him, I love him. I think he's great. He's easygoing. He's very, very smart. He's very, you know, he's got all the bases covered, and then he's got a good crew to work with, and I think they all like him. And if you played for him and been around him, you'd like him too. And I think that that's a good opening for him. Now, if a guy like Ollie is coming into the organization for the first time, that might be tough. You know, you get a new manager that's young and you don't know anything about him and he doesn't have a resume and he wasn't much of a player, that's tough. I think that would be a different scenario.
I'd also say this. He knows this organization, having played here and obviously as a bench coach, and you bring up a great point. With a shortened spring training, if you were asked to come in a new organization and learn players, it'd be awfully tough. That's not the case with Ollie Marmol. 4-2. You want 18 and older, take home a one. My understanding is Mike is down there in spring training, just hanging out. Thanks to Phillips 66. Cardinals.com/promotions. My understanding is Mike is down there in spring training, just hanging out, taking it all in.
Get some sunshine.
A little golf, a little fishing. Ali Sanchez looks at a strike. Yeah, our pregame visits with Mike were always unique and special.
I remember when I first started doing this job, pre and post, and Pat Paris would like, we got Mike Shannon today for pregame. And then, you know, we'd get really close to pregame, and he'd be like, all right, we're going to Mike Shannon next. You got any questions for him? I'm like, nope. I didn't say nothing.
Well, then you had to find Mike Shannon.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm not saying anything.
I can't tell you how many times I had to go to the booth. Mike, where are you? Let's go.
Oh, man.
He'll still be a presence at the ballpark, undoubtedly. Here's Nolan Gorman, who flied to deep center his first time up.
Hopefully, so we can get some of that food in his booth.
You know, for a guy that keeps himself in the condition you do, and you are
a shark, an eating machine.
You are an eating machine. I've never seen anything like it.
You got to eat to stay in shape, I guess.
But you're very concerned about your meals. Very concerned.
I just don't want to shortchange you with the energy, so I got to bring some food.
Try the coffee.
Run out of gas, and you've heard the word hangry, right? Well, that's, I don't want to be in that situation come the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. So,
been on the other side of that with you. It's not fun as Gorman strikes out.
I'm very lucky to have staying out of that situation now. Thank you. Have a wonderful lady at home who's keeping me straight and on the straight and up, and
that's adorable, Jimmy. Just adorable.
Yeah, not allowed to be hangry anymore. So you can thank her if you want.
Had a nice conversation with your significant other today.
Yes. And likewise with yours.
Yes.
Speaking of, happy birthday to you again, as your lovely wife was wishing you happy birthday from Rosemary Beach, and wanted to make sure that I let everyone know it's your birthday, but she really wanted to make sure that your kids and her wished you a nice birthday today, and I thought that was kind of cool.
It's very nice.
So I wanted to make sure that she got her wishes across, and that's the second time, just in case you just joined us. It is Danny Mac's birthday today, and
let me tell you something.
I've been saving my wishes for the game because I thought, you know, pregame, nobody's going to hear me, and happy birthday.
Well, we didn't have a pregame, Jim.
Well, I meant like before the game, in the office.
I got you. Well, thank you very much. No better way to spend it than with you and talking baseball.
Right here at the ballpark.
Well,
maybe not.
Well, we do have a lot of fans that are wondering if we're going to be on the road this year. And we are. We're going to be in Jupiter next week, and we'll be traveling with the team this year on road games. And so we will be with the club as in 2020, it was just, hey, let's get on the air and present baseball any way we can. And last year, same thing with the pandemic going on and restrictions. So we were in studio, which was fine. And I think we did, our crew did an amazing job. I mean, it is not easy. And they just did a remarkable job. And so we'll be back on the road this year with the club, and it's going to feel normal again.
Well, there's a lot of positives coming out of today with baseball starting again. We get to do this game from this beautiful studio. You know, you're going to have Brad next week for a couple of days before I come down to Florida, but the fact that we actually got to stay home today to do this glorious game from here in St. Louis, I get to watch my son's very first high school baseball game today, awesome. And I am fired up for him.
I hope it doesn't get rained out.
Me neither. It's supposed to stop raining for a little bit back and forth, but the only drawback today is I think he's playing on a field, one of the very few left, with natural grass.
Natural grass,
and
yeah.
Of course, but I'll get to see one of the first couple
That's great.
This week, and so I'm pretty fired up for him.
Should be. This is Alec Burleson, who grounded out his first time up, and we're seeing some of the very top prospects and guys that have been mentioned as potential players to come north, and this is one of them. And I mentioned earlier, I really hope at some point we get to do a game and Jordan Walker is in that game. Somebody told me the other day, Jimmy, that the Cardinals in their time with the organization, the best hitters that they've seen drafted and developed by the Cardinals, and that's Burleson going the other way. Oof. And it is a foul ball, but or is it a ground rule double?
We don't know yet.
So I'm going to say it's a foul ball, but they said Albert Pujols clearly was the best that came through. Oscar Taveras was number 2. And then 2 years ago, they thought this Jordan Walker kid is number 3. Now they've said he's number 2. They said he's that good. And apparently, by all accounts, just a great kid. He's a big kid, too. 6'5", 220 pounds, can play third base, big arm, good defensively. But every level they pushed him to, he's responded. I mean, you know, they can't get him out, and he's hitting rockets everywhere. So I'm really excited to see in a big league matchup maybe what he does in handling big league pitching. And that's the fun of spring training, to see some of those matchups.
Well, I think that if you do well at once you start to get the AA level down.
And I would think he's at AA this year.
And you get to AA and you can have some success there. You can play at this level. It's all about allowing yourself not to get psyched out, because you know a lot of the very, very good prospects in every organization are kind of at AA when they're young, especially, and that AAA is kind of that floater level where you're gonna have your good prospects, but you know, a lot of those guys are going up and down, and so you want your prospects to play every day and pitch every day, and you don't want to get that interrupted by, you know, the Memphis Mafia, so to speak, or the bus rides going up and down. So the AA level is pretty tough.
With winter weather on its way out, your vehicle.
Your home auto. And it's a quick inning for Aaron Brooks, so he's still out there for St. Louis, the right-hander.